Oracle, one of the biggest names in tech, is betting its entire future on AI. But it just sailed headfirst into what you might call a perfect storm. We're talking two huge blows that hit almost at the same time, rattling investors and raising some pretty serious questions about the whole AI industry. So let's get into it.
So what was the immediate damage? Well, a painful 5.4% drop in Oracle's stock in a single day. Look, that's not just a dip, that's the sound of the market hitting the panic button hard.
So the big question is, how did this happen? What could possibly cause a giant like Oracle to stumble so badly, so fast? Let's break it down. Okay, so the first hit was a huge partnership that just fell apart. This was the first punch in a 1-2 combo that really rocked the company. And we're not talking about just any deal. This thing was supposed to be a cornerstone of their entire AI strategy.
The plan was incredibly ambitious. Oracle was going to build these cutting-edge data centers specifically for OpenAI, the folks behind ChatGPT. It was all backed by a huge investor, Blue Owl Capital. This was meant to be Oracle's big moment, their grand entry into the top tier of AI infrastructure.
And the price tag for all that ambition? A staggering $10 billion. But then the news dropped. Blue Owl Capital, the main financial partner, was pulling out. They were done.
But here's the thing. The real damage wasn't just about the money. See, Blue Owl is what the industry calls smart money. These are the investors who really do their homework. So when they walk away, it sends a chilling message to the entire market. It suggests they saw something they didn't like, casting serious doubt on whether the project could even be profitable, or maybe even on Oracle's technology itself. It wasn't just a financial problem. It was a full-blown crisis of confidence.
So, just as Oracle was trying to shake off that first punch, the second one landed. At almost the same time the deal was collapsing, the company released its quarterly earnings report. And, well, the numbers were not what investors wanted to see.
Everyone on Wall Street was expecting revenues around $16.21 billion. Oracle came in at $16.06 billion. Now you might think, $150 million miss? For a company that big, is that really a catastrophe? In the world of AI? You bet it is.
And here's why that seemingly small miss mattered so much. In the high-stakes, cash-burning race for AI dominance, investors are betting everything on explosive growth. So when a company is spending billions and billions on new infrastructure, any sign that revenue is slowing down is a massive red flag. It makes everyone step back and ask the terrifying question, is all this spending actually going to pay off?
To really understand why everyone panicked, you have to get Oracle's unique and super risky AI strategy. The truth is, they're not even playing the same game as their competitors.
Oracle calls its strategy Cloud 2.0. And instead of trying to be everything to everyone like Amazon or Microsoft, Oracle is making this incredibly focused bet. They're building these hyper-specialized data centers for one thing and one thing only, training the most powerful, most demanding AI models on the planet.
I mean, the difference here is night and day. Amazon, Microsoft, and Google are casting this huge, wide net, trying to catch millions of customers. Oracle, on the other hand, is hunting whales. They're going all in on landing just a few gigantic clients, like OpenAI, by promising better performance for less money. It's the definition of a high-risk, high-reward play.
But right in the middle of all this chaos and uncertainty, it turns out Oracle has a trump card. One that could potentially stabilize this whole shaky situation. And that card is one of the biggest social media platforms in the world, TikTok.
You've probably heard about this. For years, the US government was deeply concerned about TikTok's Chinese parent company ByteDance having access to American user data. The solution that was eventually hammered out was a really complex deal to create a totally new, US-controlled company just for TikTok's US business. And who stepped right into the middle of it all? Oracle, as both a major investor and the technology partner in charge of securing all that US data on its own cloud.
This new ownership structure completely changed the game. A group that includes Oracle now holds a 45% stake, while TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, is down to just 20%. The whole point of this setup was to address all those national security concerns. When you look at it, this deal is just a massive win for Oracle. They solved a thorny geopolitical problem, and, in the process, they locked in a gigantic, stable customer for years to come. For a company whose entire strategy is based on landing these whales, it was the perfect move to help calm down some very nervous investors.
So let's pull the lens back for a second and look at the big picture. What does Oracle's wild ride tell us about the AI industry as a whole?
Is this just a problem for one company, or is it maybe a sign of what's to come for everyone?
A lot of analysts think we're now entering the AI reality check phase. Step 1 was the hype, right? That's when investors threw money at literally any company that had a good AI story. But now we're in step 2, the scrutiny. Investors are starting to ask really tough questions about profits and returns. They want more than a good story. They want a clear path to making money. And that leads to step 3, the shakeout, where projects that can't prove their worth start losing funding.
And that all leads us back to the most important question. Oracle's perfect storm really shines a light on the huge risks involved in betting billions on a future that's still pretty uncertain. So, is this just an isolated incident, a one-off problem for one company? Or are we actually witnessing the very first crack in the great AI hype bubble? That's the billion-dollar question the entire market is asking right now.